Hello and welcome to the David Icke videocast. Well, anything with Armageddon in the title might seem a bit biblical and a bit extreme. I'm using the term in relation to this 5G, ultra powerful, ultra high frequency communication system, which is being brought in to take over from the current radiation system, which already is producing phenomenal amounts of health and mental and emotional effects that have been well documented in study after study after study after study. What we're looking at with 5G is an increase in the power of the communication frequencies and an increase in their effect on human health and mental and emotional processes. Article here, there are now thousands of scientific studies documenting myriad adverse bioeffects of microwave radiation. These biological effects include, but are not limited to, cancer, DNA damage, cardiovascular problems, increased stress hormones, sleeping disorders, depression, headaches, irritability, and impaired fertility. Sperm counts are plummeting in the period that this has been happening. Studies accessing or assessing cancer and wireless radiation are particularly disturbing, the article says. The World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer classified the microwave radiation from all wireless devices as a possible human cause of cancer in 2011. Other recent studies highlight strong evidence of a relationship between brain cancers and long-term cell phone use. So these things are happening in response to very low, comparatively, levels of radiation. 5G, which is now being rolled out in the United States, they've just started trials, or they've announced they're going to start trials in the UK, are going to take these low levels through the roof. Anyone think, given the effect already, what that's going to do to human health? And more, as I'll come to. The deployment, because of 5G, of small cell antennas, the article says, will unleash unnatural and round-the-clock millimeter, milliwave and microwave radiation that is far more potent than anything previously experienced from the electromagnetic spectrum. And here's a sobering thought. In fact, the US military uses millimeter waves, as in the 5G, which travel only a short distance, as a non-lethal weapon for crowd control, because the waves affect the surface of the body and cause a burning sensation of the skin at higher levels of power. So, what is being proposed and what is starting to happen already is that a frequency 5G communication system is going to be everywhere, including rural areas. Everywhere on the planet they want it, because this is part of a massive, almost unimaginable agenda for human control. Professor Trevor Marshall, director of autoimmunity research, in fact a foundation by that name, in California, tells us this. The new 5G wireless technology involves millimeter waves, extremely high frequencies, producing photons of much greater energy than even 4G and Wi-Fi. Allowing this technology to be used without proving its safety, which is what they're doing and openly saying so, as you'll see, is reckless in the extreme, as the millimeter waves are known to have a profound effect on all parts of the human body and mind and emotions, as I'll come to. So why is this? What's the process? Well, look at one level at how the brain communicates and how the genetic system and the cells communicate, how the central nervous system operates. They all communicate electrically, and going on from that, electromagnetically. The base foundation of the body is an electromagnetic field or fields of information. And if you introduce frequencies of radiation, electromagnetic radiation, that is going to impact, if it is out of sync with the body's radiation state, it's going to impact on the information makeup and the communication systems of the brain and the body. And if it disrupts those systems, they are not going to work. And if they don't work, they manifest as something we call cancer and illness and dis-ease, disharmony in all its endless forms. And we also process our emotions and our thoughts, look at electrical brain activity, electrically. So if our electromagnetic systems, balance, communication networks are disrupted by an external technological source of radiation, especially 5G, which I cannot impress enough, is vastly more powerful and destructive than anything we've had even up to this point, then we are going to be affected, not just in terms of our health, it could be catastrophic cumulatively, but in our mental and emotional state. And by the way, as endless studies and experiments have shown, if you can interfere and hack in through frequencies to mental processes, you can put in to people's minds thoughts, perceptions, information that they think is coming from them, but isn't. It's coming from you. This is well known and now highly advanced. Do you think they're your thoughts you're thinking now? With this technology I'm talking about, not necessarily so. I give you a clip from a speech by a man called Tom Wheeler.
The big game changer is that 5G will use much higher frequency bands than previously thought viable for mobile broadband and other applications. Such millimeter wave signals have physical properties that are both a limitation and a strength. They tend to travel best in narrow and straight lines, and they do not go through physical objects as well. But brilliant engineers have developed new antennas that can aim and amplify signals. Now, to make this work, the 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive, requiring massive deployment of small cells. I'm confident that the actions will lead to a cornucopia of unanticipated, innovative uses and will generate tens of billions of dollars in economic activity. And that's damn important, because it means that U.S. companies will be the first out of the gate. And that is why 5G is a national priority. And stay out of the way of technological development. Unlike some countries, we do not believe that we should spend the next couple of years studying what 5G should be or how it should operate. The future has a way of inventing itself. Turning innovators loose is far preferable to expecting committees and regulators to define the future. We won't wait for the standards. We're already seeing the industry gearing up to seize this opportunity. Verizon and AT&T tell us they'll begin deploying 5G trials in 2017, and the first commercial deployments they're talking about are expected in 2020. And we're not done. As part of our July 14 action, we also plan to ask for comments on opening up other high-frequency bands. Many of the high-frequency bands that we will make available for 5G currently have some satellite users, as well as some Defense Department applications, or at least the possibility of future satellite and defense users. This means sharing will be required between satellite and terrestrial wireless, an issue that is especially relevant in the 28 gigahertz band. But if anyone tells you that they know the details of what 5G is going to become, run the other way. If something can be connected, it will be connected. Hundreds of billions of microchips connected in products from pill bottles to plant waterers. We must reject the notion that the 5G future will be the sole provenance of urban areas. The 5G revolution will touch all corners of our country. A lot more antenna siting decisions by local governments and tightened our shot clock for siting application reviews. America's local governments will play an important role in determining how we fulfill this national priority. You can be sure of only one thing. The biggest Internet of Things application has yet to be imagined. Tens of billions of dollars in economic activity. And that's damn important.
Yes, Mr. Wheeler, very nice man. He's also a former chief lobbyist for the Wi-Fi industry. So there you have someone representing a government agency, the FCC, which is supposed to police the Wi-Fi industry and protect us from its excesses, who was a former lobbyist, I say former in quotes, for that same Wi-Fi industry. That is how the world really works, and that is how cumulatively lethal 5G is being imposed upon us. The only testing is on the effects of heat, the heating effect of this technology. What they don't test and won't test are the biological effects and the mental and emotional effects of 5G at levels below the point where it starts producing thermal effects. So that's where we are, and it's part of a much bigger picture, which I'm going to come to now. Internet of Things is to connect everything to the internet. Everything from your fridge to your smart meter, that's what that's about. It's all connected to all this. To your driverless car, which is what they plan. Everything, every device. I mean, look at them all now. Day after day after day, new devices coming out which are connected to the internet. And the whole plan is to build a grid of communication known as a smart grid. That's why everything today seems to have smart in front of it. Smart this, smart that, smart the other. A smart control grid, which some other people call the cloud, which connects, therefore controls everything. Because when everything's connected to the internet, whatever controls the internet controls everything. And that's what the plan is. But it's more than that, because there's another step beyond that. This is the real agenda that we're heading towards. And that is, and they're already talking about it, to connect the human body, the human brain, technologically through microchips you can see and nanotechnology, microchips you can't, to the same internet, to the same smart grid, to the same cloud. And this step beyond the Internet of Things is known as the Internet of Everything. You connect the human brain, mind, body to the internet. The human brain, mind becomes controlled by whatever controls the internet. And this is why there is this incessant push to connecting the human brain to artificial intelligence. This is why you have people like Ray Kurzweil, the Google executive, because companies like Google and Facebook, etc., are all at the forefront of all this. The human brain being connected to artificial intelligence by 2030. As this connection goes on, artificial intelligence will do more and more and more of human thinking. These are his words. Until basically there is no human thinking left as we have come to know it. The human mind will no longer be the human mind. It will be a computer terminal, a biological computer terminal, not even biological in the end, a synthetic in the end. Computer terminal for artificial intelligence. The same artificial intelligence that is planned to control the internet and everything connected to the internet. Now, to make this happen, to create this internet of everything, this smart grid system where artificial intelligence, AI, controls everything, or what controls AI controls everything, they have to have certain levels of power and frequency in their communication system. Did I mention 5G? And even more powerful levels beyond that. Don't think it's going to end there. This is how the dots connect. This is what this is really all about. Look around you. Put the dots together. It's increasingly not difficult. And see where this is going. See, what they're doing is in Silicon Valley, as I've been saying the last few weeks, they now have, with Google and Facebook, and YouTube, of course, owned by Google, the greatest concentration of surveillance and censorship power the world has ever seen. But that's not where it ends. Through Silicon Valley, and is through because that's ultimately controlled by the intelligence networks and the Pentagon through its technological development arm, DARPA. They are also, through Silicon Valley and these companies, driving this end of humanity as we know it agenda. So they want you looking somewhere else. Oh, I'm for Trump. Oh, I'm against Trump. He's evil. While in Silicon Valley, the end of humanity as we know it continues to be rolled out. I'm so angry. My football team lost this week. I want to change the manager. And Silicon Valley rolls out the end of humanity as we know it. It's time to grow up. It's time to take responsibility for the world we live in instead of just moaning about it or going off into hiding away from it. Because you can hide all you like, but you won't hide from 5G. It's going to be everywhere. If we go on like this, come on, human race. Get a frickin' grip. Look around at what's happening. And get off your frickin' arse.